Project 2025. It's a group that produced a 900-page document about what a second Trump administration should do on everything from how to deport undocumented immigrants to stacking federal agencies deep with MAGA acolytes. It's an extreme vision, one that the Trump campaign has tried to distance itself from publicly. Now, in an explosive undercover video, we see and hear a co-author of Project 2025, a former Trump cabinet member, saying explicitly that Donald Trump, quote, blessed the work he's doing now. He was secretly videotaped by a nonprofit journalism group. Our senior investigative correspondent, Kyung Lah, is here with everything that you are picking up. Kyung, take it away.
Well, Dana, we've by now all heard about what you've laid out there, Project 2025, and how Trump says he doesn't know anything about it. Well, one of the co-authors of Project 2025 is a man named Russell Vought. He was not only on Trump's cabinet, but was also in charge of the GOP policy platform passed at last month's Republican National Convention. I want you to look at this hidden camera video. Vought thought he was talking to the relatives of a wealthy investor. But it turns out this meeting was set up and recorded by an undercover journalist and an actor for the Center for Climate Reporting, a British organization. He says Trump's rejection of Project 2025 is just politics. And Vought explained he's creating so-called shadow agencies, getting regulations, memos, and executive orders ready for action on the first day of a Trump presidency. He also believes in expanding presidential powers and that the president has the authority to use the military to maintain law and order. I want you to listen to how he talks about why Trump is publicly trying to separate himself from Project 2025.
So, we've got about 350 different documents that are regulations and things of that nature that we're planning for the next administration. And then you may say, okay, all right, DHS, we want to have a largest deportation. What are your actual memos that a secretary sends out to do it? Yeah. Like, there's an executive order, regulations, secretarial memos. Yeah. Those are the types of things that need to be thought through, so you're not having to scramble to do that later on. We were always going off of, if Donald Trump was head of this agency, what would he do with it? Yeah. What has he said? Yeah. And then what do we know from the first term? And that's how we've been approaching this. He's very supportive of what we do, and know that we have all manner of things that we do that's, even unrelated to Project 2025. So I see what he's doing is just very, very conscious, distancing himself from a brand.
And you're not going to publish those?
No.
They go straight to...
Yeah, they're very, very close hold.
Vought also talked about wanting to make sure America is a Christian nation and mass deportation is needed in order to save America. Well, we did hear from Vought's group. A spokesperson for the group downplayed the video and told CNN it would have been easier to just do a Google search to uncover what is already on our website and said in countless national media interviews. But thank you for airing our perfect conversation, emphasizing our policy work is totally separate from the Trump campaign, as we have been saying. Dana?
Kyung, thank you so much for that. So the question now is, yes, it is true that, oh, I'm sorry, Kyung, I have one more question for you. I apologize. And this is about Donald Trump. He said he doesn't know about Project 25. And the question for you now is, did he approve of this?
Well, this is what we have heard from the Trump campaign. They've just told us that only President Trump and the campaign and not any other organization or former staff represent policies for the second term. But here's what we know further, Dana, about all this. We know that Trump and Vought have spoken at various times, and the former president has adopted some of Vought's policy ideas. Two sources familiar with that relationship have told CNN. Vought says everything that he is working on comes from Trump's speeches and his promises for a second term, Dana.
Okay, now I'm going to thank you. Kyung, thank you so much. Really appreciate that terrific reporting. And the panel is here with me. And so what I was going to ask you, Jonah, is about, yes, Vote's spokesperson says that we have seen a lot of this. It is in black and white. There are 900 pages of Project 2025. This is something that he is talking about as kind of a second phase where they're actually trying to prepare for a second term, something that they could implement with lots of secret documents. It's Donald Trump and his knowledge of it and his understanding of it. And this is what struck me as new in these recordings, because he said in private, Vaught insists that the disavowals from Donald Trump were merely, quote, graduate level politics.
Yeah, so the one thing you have to acknowledge is that this is, whether that's true or not, that's exactly what Vogt would say to a bunch of people who's trying to separate from a check, right? He wouldn't go in and say, I have no influence whatsoever with Donald Trump, and he's not going to do anything I'm going to do, right? Because you're trying to sell your impact and your access. That said, I think he's telling the truth. You know, I mean, it's the idea that Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation and all of those guys aren't closely tied to Trump world was just sort of ridiculous. I mean, Russ Vought might as well have been receiving his mail at Mar-a-Lago. And so they threw, you know, Trump realized that this was becoming bad optics for him, and they threw the Heritage Foundation and Russ Vought and Project 2025 under the bus so hard they'll get a stuffed toy as a prize. But it doesn't change the fact. So I think politically this helps Democrats just insofar as it makes the denials seem less plausible, and that's about it.
The denials aren't really credible because of the fact that Donald Trump talks about a lot of these policies on the stump. He talks about abolishing the education department. Mm-hmm. He talks about, you know, giving no funding to schools with vaccine mandates. He recently said that he was open to banning medication abortion, the mailing of it, reversing the FDA approval. That's all in Project 2025. So is mass deportations. Ross Vought worked in the first Trump administration, is likely on a short list to work in a second one, as are lot of the authors of Project 2025. They all expect to staff a second Trump term. So this idea that there's this total separation just doesn't pass the smell test.
He doesn't talk about other things like repealing LGBTQ plus equity policies. They proudly state men and women are biological realities, and several other issues, including limiting access to medication abortion to 7 weeks. That is something that he does stay away from.
Yes, so that's why Donald Trump has tried to distance himself, because there are policies in there in Project 2025. It is 900 pages long. It gets into very specific detail on a whole host of things, and it was becoming a political liability for Donald Trump. But like Laura said, there are many policies, including firing federal bureaucrats, which is central to Project 2025, of remaking how the government works and making it more political into the mold of Donald Trump. But Democrats have used this as a very effective ploy against Republicans. It's funny, I was talking to Republican delegates about this at the Republican convention, and so many of them said, yeah, I've heard about that, I know about this, but some of them told me they heard about it from Democrats as where they were first tuned into it. But Democrats aren't going to back down. We hear Kamala Harris use it on the stump. We hear congressional candidates do it as well. And Donald Trump is tied to this politically, whether he likes it or not.